Many years ago, I was really deep into the self-improvement journey, right? And one of the guys that I used to watch a lot of, it was Hamza. You probably know him. And like a lot of guys, his content hit me at a time where I felt like really lost and unmotivated and just behind in life, you know? And his message was very simple. Lock in, stop wasting time, build discipline, and become dangerous. And for a while, it worked. I was hitting the gym, I was working on becoming a better person, trying to get over my anxiety and approaching people, and especially women. And I gotta give it to him. I feel like he's given a lot of dudes the opportunity to go on their self-improvement journey and become better men. But for not necessarily him in particular, but for a lot of this type of content, there's the side that just doesn't get talked about enough. Like when self-improvement turns into pure obsession and pressure and never feeling like you're doing enough. Like, I think we can all understand that self-improvement is supposed to make your life better, right? But for a lot of men, it's doing just quite the opposite. They're gonna wake up early, they're gonna train hard, they're gonna read books, which you should still be doing all of these things. But it gets to a point where they optimize everything and somehow they still feel empty, they still feel anxious, or just quietly miserable. And I think that's just because a lot of what gets called self-improvement today is actually just disguised as self-destruction. Because, like, let's be real, on the surface, self-improvement looks extremely healthy as a thing to do. And it's something that we should be doing. We should be working to become better men every single day. How are we improving our lives? How are we improving the opportunities that are put in front of us? How are we improving the way that we approach women and dating? How are we improving the ways that we pursue other relationships with the men and the dudes that we keep around us that we call our friends? And it's like, discipline is good. Fitness is good. Having ambition is very freaking good. But I think the way a lot of men have approached it now, it's just becoming extreme and unbalanced, you know? So instead of trying to build a better life nowadays, men are just obsessing over every single flaw. They're punishing themselves for being a human being because they generally just measure their worth only by using like productivity as a unit of measurement. And I think that generally causes a lot of them to just use improvement as a way to avoid the real issues in our lives, you know? And dude, that's just not growth. So today, I just kind of want to break down why I believe that a lot of the content that we're consuming nowadays about self-improvement is actually secretly disguised as ways for us to actually pursue self-destruction. I'm a firm believer that there's a lot of slop out there today, and that's a part of the reason why I wanted to start my channel. Not because I don't think that there's a lot of helpful things out there. There are. I just think a lot of what we've been fed recently is pure garbage. Realistically, it's like there's so much self-improvement advice out there that it's causing us to just go in so many different directions. We're getting confused. And I feel like we're getting a lot of very unrealistic expectations from the advice that we're given. Like, think about Hamza for a second. I actually think he's doing a lot of good for men in this space. But he's telling you to go to the gym and build your physique, and he's loaded on TRT and Tren, you know? Like, he talks about taking tests in some of his videos, you know? And it's like, that's not authentic. And that's what I feel like we've lost, is a lot of just authenticity in this space. Like people talking from the heart instead of just trying to say really out of the ordinary things to make a buck, you know? So anyways, here's how I feel self-improvement is kind of turning into self-destruction nowadays. For starters, I just think it's a big way for us to avoid like real problems, you know? Like today, a lot of men just they are naturally lonely and they lack purpose. And we just generally don't want to face these things head on. So we bury ourselves in routines. Like think about the self-improvement advice that you've heard where it's like, oh, are you lonely? Go lift weights, bro. Oh, you're broke? Spend 18 hours a day at work. Like that's not optimizing self-improvement in any single way. It feels like it could be progress, but I feel like it's just kind of like a distraction that has a better marketing aspect to it. It's better branding. So a lot of men use self-improvement as a way to escape the reality that they're actually living in because I'm on this massive journey, bro. And yes, we should be on the journey, but we need to keep things realistic. You can't continue to run away from your problems by blocking them out of your life. And then just naturally, when it's like we put ourselves in this massive state of optimization and all we're thinking about is working and lifting and focusing on content, like we don't treat ourselves as human beings anymore. We almost kind of see ourselves as a project that's being worked on. Everything that you do in your life becomes something that you need to fix. Think about every problem that you have in your life right now or that you've had in the past. Your body's not in the best shape. Your income isn't high enough. You don't have the greatest social skills. Like we become so fixated on trying to fix all of these things about ourselves. We don't give our time any room for like rest, enjoyment, or acceptance. We just continuously put ourselves in a constant state of self-criticism every single day. We forget how to become happy with the things that are going right. And instead of seeing the past and seeing how we've become a better person, all we can do is figure out that maybe we're not becoming better people because of the fact that everything isn't perfect. Nothing's lined up the way that we want it to go. And that leads me into the next point, which is that we always compare ourselves with how other dudes are doing. Like, I can't get over the fact that I feel like a lot of dudes that are going through self-improvement aren't trying to do it for themselves at some point. I feel like they're just trying to keep up with other men online. And that's not about becoming better. That's just about feeling like you're not left behind in any way. And when we operate in this mindset, that's gonna fucking eat away at our anxiety, you know? Because we're always thinking about, how can I become more like X person? How can I be buff like this dude? How can I have money like this dude? Like, the matter of the fact is that we need to be our own people. Literally everybody else is taken in the world. Why do we have to stop being ourselves? Yeah, that might sound a little optimistic, you know, but we're constantly comparing ourselves with others and trying to become more like that person instead of being a better version of ourselves. And that puts us in a constant state of suffering and anxiety. And then we just generally confuse that suffering with progress. And I've talked about it on this channel before that we need to do the hard things, and I 100% believe that. We need to get out of our comfort zones. We need to do things that are challenging and that are difficult, because no man will be able to get anywhere if they're just comfortable all the time. You're not growing that way. But for a lot of the self-improvement advice that we get online from these different creators is that we're taught to believe, like, if it doesn't hurt, it just doesn't count, you know? Like, I'm a firm believer in going to the gym, and it's not necessarily to get as huge as possible. I do it because it's good for you. Your body feels stronger, your mental health clears, you feel good about yourself. When you eat right, you optimize your sleep, and you take care of your body thanks you in return. But in these spaces, a lot of men are just overtraining, overworking themselves within their career or that business that they're trying to start. And I'm not trying to necessarily downplay hard work by any means necessary, right? But some people are spending, let's just say, 5 hours at a time at the gym, and they're calling it discipline. Like, eventually that's going to catch up to us. The human brain is a fantastic thing, and the mind is eventually going to push back upon us. And we continue pushing ourselves to these limits of feeling like we're on this really important self-improvement journey. And yeah, you might start looking really good, feeling really good. You might start being able to talk to more women, but it's almost like after building a life that just looks good on paper, you feel empty in the end anyways. Like, think about it from an outside perspective. Someone might see you and go, hey, that dude is extremely fit, he looks extremely disciplined, he takes care of himself. Or, hey, this guy is working really hard at his job, we're working really hard on his business. But no one gets to see the inside of you, and this is where I feel like a lot of men are failing on their self-improvement journeys. Because on the inside, they just feel disconnected from the world. They're highly unsatisfied because they spend so much time focusing on what I believe is the wrong things, instead of trying to build connections with people around them, like spending quality time with your woman, hanging out with your friends, going out and having a beer or two on a Friday night, whatever it may be. You know, R&R, rest and recovery, baby. It's like locking in has just become a term for forget your past, forget everyone that you know. You should focus on keeping the right people around you. But when you view everything as something that isn't right for you, and every friend that you had in the past is an enemy to your self-improvement, you're gonna feel hollow inside, dude. And honestly, lastly, I just do generally feel that a lot of dudes aren't on self-improvement to better themselves. I did talk about this a little bit, but it's not like a lot of dudes are trying to improve themselves to value themselves, but more they're trying to improve themselves so that they can feel valuable to the world. And that's the trap that a lot of these dudes fall into, because in their mind, they're only as good as their last win. We need to remember to take the wins as we go. Like, hey, you got a new PR at the gym yesterday? Fan-fucking-tastic, dude. You're on a roll. Keep going. Not this mindset of, I know I can do more than that. Load up the weight rack. Whatever, right? That's a stupid example. But I hope you're seeing my point here. We judge our value based off of the way that we look, the money that we have, instead of remembering, like, hey, with the right amount of discipline and hard work, these things will come in real time. So I truly believe that there is a massive difference between what we should be viewing as real growth and what kind of growth is actually destructive to us. When you're on a self-improvement journey that's making you more destructive, there's a couple of things that you should be noting. This destructive improvement behavior is going to make you extremely obsessive. Being obsessed about some things is okay, but when nothing nothing in our lives is perfect. It honestly sometimes can kill a lot of our drives and our actual ability to improve. Like, instead of having constructive criticism with ourselves, we just continue to feel like we're not good enough, so we obsess over how we can become so much better. And this is in turn going to increase the anxiety that you have, because every single day you're going to be worried about, what can I do today to become 95 times better than I was yesterday? And because we're so locked in, bro, hyper focused on this, you're just going to feel isolated for the longest time. You're never going to feel like you have enough going on in your life because you're failing at things in your self-improvement journey instead of realizing that growth comes from not succeeding. Healthy growth looks like this. You're doing things that are helping yourself build confidence in yourself, also competence. Because confidence is key for a lot of things. Obviously, you go to the gym, you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to take time and you're going to look better, right? But when you're improving and you're on this journey, you also need to be building up your competence. When you're reading books, and not necessarily reading for 18 hours a day, right? When you read some pages before you go to bed at night and you're learning something new, instead of obsessing about reading 72 books a week, that's healthy. When you're on a self-improvement journey, not only are you just going to become a stronger man, but you're going to feel more at peace. And again, this is one of the parts where it's like a lot of this online stuff that we see with the self-improvement aspect of things is not keeping us at peace. Think about what I just said. We have this obsessive behavior that makes us feel anxious all the time. And we're constantly thinking about how we're not good enough for anything, because if we're not improving, we're plateauing, you know? Building peace comes from understanding that you're taking the right steps and doing the right things and not be getting so frustrated over it. It's like the key difference between real growth and destructive growth is that one is building a life and the other is like you just running from the life that you had before. So here's how I believe that we do self-improvement the right way. You need to start by having a clear reason why. Like, don't just be on a self-improvement journey to escape feeling like the average person. Improve yourself so that you can actually have self-respect. You're building a life that you want. You're accomplishing things that you are proud of. Like, have an idea in your head of why exactly am I doing this, and hyper-focus on that compared to focusing on the wrong things. Like, here's an example. I did not start this YouTube channel to make money. I hope that I get monetized soon. You guys have been fucking killing it in the comments and subscribing, showing love in the previous videos. Like, I hope it's something that I get to achieve. But that's not why I started. I did this because I see a lot of men that need help. And I hope that what I'm doing is helping. With this advice that I'm giving, talking into this microphone, you guys are my reason why. When you have a clear goal and you have purpose, you have your reason why, and you're gonna respect yourself because you're pursuing that reason and your passion. And while you're pursuing these things, don't forget to keep your humanity. Like, make sure you rest. Take some time off, you know? Focus on your friendships. Still go out and have fun. Like, stillness isn't weakness. We shouldn't be focusing on staying still for the longest time, but remember to take time for yourself. Like, you can be productive for 6 days in a row and take a Sunday off. Like, we're not invincible, you know? And speaking of that, stop trying to become invincible. When you're on your self-improvement journey and you're trying to become a stronger man, strength comes from things like emotional control, not from emotional suppression. Like, how many times in the last couple of years have you heard that you need to bottle up your emotions, right? It's not about that. It's about making sure you know how to react appropriately. Emotional maturity goes a long way when it comes to being a better person. Now, with that being said, make sure you're measuring the right things in your life. Only focusing on the numbers or the aesthetics that you're pushing through, right? Those are not the things that you need to be hyper focusing on. Think about things like, who are you as a person? What's your character like? How consistent are you with trying to achieve your goals? Are you at peace? These are the real world results that we need to be tracking when we're on a self-improvement journey. And lastly, like, I've talked about this a little bit, but build a life that you're proud of, not just building a highlight reel, you know? Like, if your self-improvement journey does not translate into better relationships, pursuing your purpose, and having self-respect for yourself, something has just got to be off. There's more to it than just hitting the gym and trying to make as much money as possible. I feel like that's the direction that we're going in recently, and that's just slop. True self-improvement happens when you become a man that you're proud of, and you're building a life that you want to live. I feel like that's the part that we've lost in this. So yeah, self-improvement, it can be extremely powerful, but only when you're honest with yourself. We need to remember to slow down a little bit. We're human beings, we're not superheroes. Focus on accomplishing your tasks and pursuing your purpose. Don't lose yourself along the way in trying to become someone that you're not, and especially with just trying to impress other dudes online. A little sus, right? So anyways, boys, build yourself without trying to erase yourself. I hope this hit home with you. I know I didn't have a lot of jokes or whatever, but I just kind of wanted to talk about this. It was on my mind recently. So drop a comment. Tell me where you've seen self-improvement kind of ruin your life, or how have you switched yourself in a way to where you're actually pursuing a good type of self-improvement journey. Share it with a guy who might see it in the comments section so that he doesn't just grind himself into the ground, you know? Anyways, boys, stay solid. I love all of you boys. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.